Hi everybody. Today we're going to be going through how to do the Level X audit, review contributor judgments in a job task. The main purpose of this task is to just help us sort of review work and jobs that we think might have some issues. Very often they don't, but it's just allowing us to continue to ensure that, one, we have the right contributors on the platform, that everybody's tasking honestly, and that our data that are going to get to our customers is of high quality. So let's just get into it. I won't go through these instructions. You'll want to read these instructions very thoroughly on your own. And then we'll just jump right in here. So what we're going to do is we're presented with 20 judgments from a contributor in a specific job. So you don't need to know the job ID because we're actually putting the information right here for you. So what we're going to be looking at here, it looks like there wasn't any instructions. The instructions would go here, but there weren't instructions for this job. That's okay. We should still be able to figure it out because what the contributor is asked to do is choose the relevance of this result for this query. So when I see that the query is YouTube Sweet Caroline, and then the result is Sweet Caroline, the song by Neil Diamond on YouTube, this seems like a really good result, right? You'd expect someone searching for YouTube and a song name to get the song name on YouTube. So the right answer here, in my mind, would be good or excellent. Probably excellent, right? It's definitely not adult-oriented. It's not vague. It's exactly what they want, a song name and where they want it. But the contributor, as you can see, said bad. Now, what we're asked to do is not to say, is this original contributor perfect? We just want to know, is this a reasonable answer? And if we're looking here, we see that the query is YouTube Sweet Caroline. They're saying this is a bad answer when clearly it's not. So this is not a reasonable judgment. The other options are I'm unsure. You want to avoid using that as much as possible. You're in level X. We trust you. We expect that you're able to make a distinction. But there will be times where you'll have to select a job issue. That means for some reason the data is not rendering correctly. Maybe the result is blank right here, and so you can't make a distinction. But we're going to put not reasonable because, unfortunately, this is a very clear query with a very clearly related result, but the original answer was that it was bad, which is not a good answer. The next one is music lines. Now, see, I'm not really sure what this means, to be honest. It could mean different things. So I'm not really sure. I would probably put query is too vague because I'm not sure what it means. And then there's like this doesn't seem to be related. I'd probably put bad here, but I can understand. I would understand query is too vague because I'm a little confused by it. I'd also understand fair because it's still about music. So I'm going to go ahead and say that yes, this judgment was reasonable. Again, it doesn't mean that I completely agree with this contributor. It just means that it's not completely way off base. Different example up here, right, where the person said it was bad when it's very clearly exactly what the person was looking for. So in this job, we actually require you to look at 10 judgments. We show you 20 because you might need to look at a few more in order to make your assessment. But you can see that this one is required and the next 8 are going to be required as well. So I'll go a little bit more quickly through these next 8 so that we can move on to the next one. All right, the press lounge. Seems to be a place, and then you've got the press lounge is the answer here. It looks like their official website. It says assume you're in New York, New York. That makes us even clearer that this is a great result for this query. Unfortunately, though, this contributor wrote bad. I think this is completely unreasonable, so we're going to go ahead and press no. It was not reasonable. Next, Stevie Wonder meme. All right, so this is some sort of meme potentially about Stevie Wonder, and the result seems to be Stevie Wonder parody. Not really a meme, but I could see it being fair or good here, so that's fine. It's not totally obvious, so we'll say that this is reasonable. Breads 11. I don't really know what that is. It looks like it's Air Jordans. So and you can also search it yourself. So if we quickly search this, yep, looks like it's the shoe. And we can see that the result was the shoe as well. So very good. You might say good or excellent here. You definitely wouldn't say bad. So I'm going to go ahead and say no, this was not reasonable. All right, Maxi Bees. It looks like this is probably right. I'm looking at Maxi Bees. Looks like it's their official site. Yeah, it says good. This is tough. I mean, this should be excellent, right? And this is such an obvious one where, you have the official website of exactly what they're looking for. I think it's pretty clear to me that the answer should be excellent. I'm on the fence about this one. You might call this reasonable because they're pretty close, or you might call it unreasonable because it's so obviously exactly what they want. Um, it doesn't really matter in this case. You want to just do your best. I'm going to go ahead and say this is unreasonable, but it's a little bit of a gray area. Next one here, flyer templates. So some sort of template for making flyers. Here we go. We've got flyer templates at Office Depot. This is exactly what it is. Different templates for these types of flyers. This should be excellent, but it says it's good. Again, I'm a little concerned here. I would probably say this is unreasonable, but it could be either, right? Let's switch it back to reasonable. I mean, I would say excellent, but they weren't that far off. T. Boone Pickens. I'm not really sure what that is, but here we go again. This looks to be a person. This is their Wikipedia page. Definitely a direct answer. It should be excellent, but they're putting good. So as we're going through this process, right, even if I say, yes, this is reasonable, I'm still thinking about what have I seen? Have I seen one answer where this contributor has given the right answer? Not really. Even the ones where I'm like, yeah, it's reasonable, I disagreed with like every single one, right? So we got best breakup songs. Here we go, top 30 breakup songs. So this should be good or excellent, and it's fair. Again, it's not the worst answer in the world, but it's not really, it's not good, right? So these are kind of in between. We're just going to keep thinking about that as we go through it. All right, let's look at the last one that we have to get. Here we go. This is Bulletproof Coffee, so it looks like some sort of coffee company. It looks like the result is Bulletproof Coffee. If we go ahead and click this link here, we can learn a little bit more about it. It's hard to know exactly. I mean, maybe if they put a query is too vague, that would be wrong too. There's no link here, which is a little bit weird, but this is clearly about this, right? The query is Bulletproof Coffee. The result is something about Bulletproof Coffee, and they put bad. So again, this is not reasonable. So if we think about the last 10 judgments that we just did, right? This one totally unreasonable. It was exactly what they were looking for. This one a little bit harder, so we gave them a pass. This one, terrible answer because it's the exact thing that the query was looking for. Overall, I didn't think this contributor really did a good job here. However, we're not asking ourselves, is this contributor smart or are they really good? What we're asking ourselves, and I'll show you what the question is and how it's worded, is at the bottom here we ask, was this contributor providing honest answers in this job? And then we say, it is okay if a contributor occasionally misses answers. We are mostly looking to identify contributors who are intentionally answering dishonestly. This is a tough one, right? There were some answers that were good, some answers that were bad. But to be honest, if I looked at those 10 answers, not one of them was correct. It almost seemed random. There were times where the contributor was completely off. I'm going to go ahead and say that this contributor, no, they were not providing honest answers. And I might kind of explain that here. You don't have to, but I would say, while not every answer was terrible, the contributor missed multiple very, very obvious answers and was probably not tasking honestly. Because you can imagine there are test questions in this job, right? The original job. So the original contributor was working in a job with test questions. Now, all of you are very good contributors on Figure 8. All of you know if you answered like this, if you answered these questions where you were answering this badly, where you too, Sweet Caroline, you were saying this was bad, you'd be kicked out of that job in a second, right? You know that you can't be this bad and be able to work in jobs. You would fail out of quiz mode. If not, you'd fail out of work mode very quickly. So here's the thing. The fact that the contributor was able to work and not get kicked out, right, is also sort of suspicious because the contributor didn't fail out. That means they probably got their test questions correct. So if they're getting their test questions correct, but their other answers are as bad as that, there's a chance that maybe they learned the test questions somewhere, or they were somehow able to recognize which questions were test questions. So I'm going to go ahead and say this contributor was not providing honest answers, and I'm going to give a little bit of a note as to why. And then we do ask for one more question, and we might delete this. So by the time you're listening to this and watching this tutorial video, it might actually be a little bit too. It might be gone by then. But we'll go ahead and answer this. So it says, did you review the judgment data in the job, or were you required to open a link to review the data? So I had to require it once in a while. Or I had to open it once in a while. So we'll go ahead and click that there. And that's it. It is a little bit long, but I'm going to go ahead and submit and continue here, and then we'll go on to the next task. All right, so I'm going to go and just close these instructions. All right, we'll do one more here and see how it looks. So here we go. Here's now the new job. Now this gives us the instructions. Now we don't necessarily need to read through these instructions with a fine-toothed comb. This is a very, very long, detailed set of instructions. Again, this is the instructions from the original job. The Level X job has instructions on its own, right? Level X judgment review and hey, Level X, and we describe it. But even after we minimize that, there are more instructions because this is the instruction for the job that we're reviewing. I'm not going to look at those because I mostly know this job. But what we want to do is we want to come down here and we come to Contributor Judgment 1. And we're going to try to do our answer here. So let's see. We've got basically what we're looking for is the first time they answer something. So can you find a LinkedIn page for AAA Parking Authority? Yes or no. Can you find a Glassdoor page for AAA Parking Authority? Yes or no. And then can you find one on Owler? Yes or no. So what we want to do here is we're going to want to search this. See if we can find one. Doesn't look like there's anything that I can see, so that's fine. Glassdoor, AAA, Parking Authority. I don't see anything that looks like that. There's stuff called AAA, but it doesn't seem like it's quite the same. And then the next one here, let's take a look. I don't really see anything here. So I don't want to spend too much time on this, right? So I'm going to scroll up here and say that this was reasonable. Because again, I couldn't find anything about it, and they put no for all of these. Next, all right, we got South Bean LLC. Can we find one? These answers are no. South Bean LLC doesn't look like that's that. Okay, good to go. Glassdoor, do I see anything on Glassdoor for South Bean LLC? No, I don't. See, these are coming back because of the word South in South Bristol. This is a totally different company here. So it looks like, again, another set of judgments are good. Yep, that's fine. So we're going to go ahead and call this reasonable. Next, all right, AB Moving, San Antonio, Texas. Let's go ahead and see here. They said no as well. So again, these contributors may have just gotten picked up because they answered no a lot, but as we're looking, here we go. They said no, but AB Moving, San Antonio, Texas. Let's see, AB Moving. Let's click into this, see what we find here. And this is in Plano, Texas. So it's probably the same company. Look, they have offices in San Antonio as well. So San Antonio. So I would say that they probably should have put a LinkedIn URL here, and they didn't. So that's not good. Again, here, this doesn't look like there's anything AB Moving. I don't see anything about that. Let's go one more. Doesn't look like. Yeah, maybe right here. Let's see. AB Moving Company's profile is incomplete. It looks like they have something here, right? So it looks like they probably should have answered one of these, but they said no to all of them. So pretty bad. I'm going to say no. Again, this isn't like all of a sudden this contributor gets in trouble. We're just one by one kind of going through the judgments to see if we think they're reasonable. Next one, Shagway Arts Barn. And again, we're noticing patterns as we do this, right? So even if some of the answers are good, if the contributor, as we'll see, answers the exact same way every single time, all right, so it looks like I couldn't find anything there for any of that, so neither could they. This is reasonable. But what we've noticed is 4 out of 4 times the contributor is saying no to everything. So we just want to keep that in mind. It doesn't mean they're wrong. So this is TMDE Ohio. We'll go ahead and, looks like they did answer one here. So that's good because that means they're not just answering the same thing every time. And they found it here. Great. So I believe, if I'm remembering this job correctly, and we could read the instructions if we had to, that these are only going to pop up if you couldn't find one here. So it's okay that we don't even look these up. This is very reasonable, so that's a good sign for this contributor. We'll go ahead and say yes. All right, next, Jessica Hayes. Looks like they said no to everything. Now this is going to be a little bit confusing because this is a name, and I'm a little bit unsure about this one. I'm just going to go ahead and press reasonable because names make things a little confusing. Again, you'll want to read the instructions if you're unsure, but for the purposes of speed in this video, I want to just keep going. Time Enthusiast NYLLC. Let's come down here. Open this one up. Time Enthusiast. I don't see anything about that there. I don't see anything about it there. And I don't see, let's see, well, I don't see anything there. Okay, so they said no to all of it. I agree with them, so I'm going to go ahead and say yes, it was reasonable. Now we got 3 more, so we'll try to go fast here. Greg Halverson Insurance, okay. That's fine, I don't see any, and I skipped this one, so we'll go here. I don't see it there either. Okay, so good to go. That one's fine. So far we only said like one we didn't agree with. They do say no a lot, but it seems like no is the answer a lot. So 35 Starboard Road. Let's check this out. No, nothing. Nothing. And last but not least, nothing. All right. So that's reasonable because they also said there was nothing. And let's just do one more. Again, there are more than 10 available if you need, but we're just going to do 10 here. Women Engineering It, Inc. Check this out. Look, they gave it one LinkedIn this time, which is good. Women Engineering and IT. Okay, that looks good. So, and then they don't need to do these. So again, they gave an answer this time, and it looks like I think it's reasonable, so we'll say yes. So now that we get these last questions, let's go all the way past the optional ones, and we'll go down to the bottom to answer the final questions. And I'm going to say yes. This contributor, there were one or two I didn't agree with, but for the most part, I totally agreed with their answers, and they all seemed reasonable. I'm not going to add any more context. When in doubt, please do add context if you think it could help at all. But in this case, I don't think that that's necessary. I just thought they were all good. Not going to answer anything, and then I did have to copy paste or click a link to review the data. Now I'm going to submit and continue. All right, let's do one more. Then we'll be done. All right, so this is the same type of one. I don't really want to do this one again because we just went through it. But let's see. Maybe it'll be we'll find different results at least. Key service construction. Let's check this out. So this is interesting. It says key service construction, and this one is key construction services. So I don't think this is the same. So I like the fact that they put no there. We're probably going to find something similar here. Okay, that doesn't see anything, and that doesn't either. So this is reasonable. At first I thought there was one there, but it looked like it was something different actually. Keith Realty Auction Group. We'll go ahead and open that one up here. Doesn't look like there's anything. So anyway, I'll stop here, but that's basically the gist of it, right? You're going to want to just go through and just see if it's reasonable. It doesn't have to be that you know the exact right answer and they got the exact right answer. Like, it doesn't have to be that perfect. Just, does it look like they were trying, right? If there's a picture of a cat on the screen and then they ask, is this a cat? And over the contributor is saying no when it's clearly a cat, right? That's when you think this is unreasonable. Because what we're trying to find here is people who really shouldn't have been able to continue in the job if there are test questions because their answers are so bad for these ones we're reviewing. But if you're unsure, you can select unsure. We do discourage it because we trust you guys and we want you to make good answers. And you can click job issue if for some reason, like let's say this said business name and it was just blank. Like for some reason it wasn't loading, or it was asking you to review an image that had been taken offline, right? So it might be that every single judgment you're reviewing here is a picture, and the question is this picture appropriate or not? And every picture is broken or it's taken offline. That's when you'd want to say job issue, right? If the picture was broken, go to the next one, say job issue if the picture's broken. And then when you get to the bottom of the whole thing, I'm not going to actually do it, of course, because it wouldn't be correct in this case, but you might say, I can't tell, and you could say, each image was broken / taken offline, so I was unable to assess the contributor's accuracy, right? Again, it doesn't apply here because this is just the LinkedIn job and we were able to access everything, but there are definitely cases where the job itself, it's not rendering properly or basically like you don't have the data available to you in order to make an assessment. Obviously, we don't want you to pick that unless it's true, so please make sure if it's possible that you always review the contributor's judgments, but there will definitely be times where it's the case where you need to go and select job issue because there's just something wrong with here and you're not able to review. So that's it. Thank you for listening. I know that was a little bit long, but hopefully it gives you an idea of kind of what we're trying to do here. Thanks a lot.